So it's worth prefacing that, right? This is the Times' new podcast. So it's hosted by Matt Chorley, of all people, the most intensely irritating person on the entirety of Times Radio, apart from Aisha Hazarika. He hosts this podcast, and then they've got like 3 people that they've kind of billed as being different parts of the political scene, and they all basically have identical politics. So it's Polly Mackenzie, that person who's married to Nicholas Tyrone, the person who tweeted out about the Liberal Democrats swapping the 5p bag charges for small benefit sanctions. Then Peter Mandelson, like the worst man ever in politics in this country, like the absolute demon man and friend of a renowned person with a little black book who will remain unnamed. And the third person is Daniel Finkelstein, who is the progenitor of like a right-wing think tank, who is also a member of the super far-right Islamophobia factory, the Gladstone Institute, as well. So he's the 4 like thoroughly awful human beings.
Did Keir Starmer make an error serving Jeremy Corbyn in his cabinet, or was it necessary for all that follows?
Very, very good question.
It's a very difficult question.
No, I said it's a very good question. I don't think it's difficult at all, because if we hadn't had Keir Starmer, putting up with Corbyn during all that nonsense, sticking to it and going through, he would, in my view, not have been elected leader of the Labour Party. The truth is that if Keir hadn't been there, and if he hadn't been able to present himself as somebody who had stuck through these hard times, I think the party, there was a big risk of the party voting for a Corbynista successor.
So wait, what he's saying here, right, what he's literally saying in this clip that we're watching is if Keir Starmer hadn't have pretended to be left-wing, he wouldn't have been elected, right? He's just admitting the grift. Like, he's literally open and saying, well, they wanted a Corbynist successor. Everybody in the party believed in this stuff. The policies were popular amongst the membership, so much so that they would have voted for somebody who offered them those policies. So I'm glad that Keir Starmer pretended to be friends with Corbyn, which we know he was pretending because he's now admitted that he was never friends with him, despite saying that he was during the leadership election. And then on top of that, pretending to follow the moral case for socialism that he's now completely dumped because we all knew it was lies. It was always intended to be lies. That's not in any way in doubt at this point. And so Peter Mandelson said, it's really good that he lied about this, and it's really great that he hoodwinked the membership, because otherwise somebody who the membership actually have policies that they support would be in charge, and that would be a bad thing, because party democracy is bad, actually, and hoodwinking the left is good. They're the only politically illegitimate group in UK politics.
Rebecca Long Bailey instead, and that would have been
curtains
for the Labour Party.
I don't know what
curtains for the Labour Party if Keir Starmer had not won in 2019, and if he hadn't now turned round the Labour Party in the way that he has.
But the Labour Party is dead.
Yeah, it's not a Labour Party anymore.
He's not the Labour Party leader. He's the leader of whatever thing that is now. But the Labour Party is dead. The curtains have already happened.
Even Labour centrist types like John Cruddas did his history of the Labour Party thing. There's a Guardian article. But he essentially said in this thing, well, Keir Starmer has no connections to the Labour Party. Yeah, like, of course he's just being inserted in this position by Labour together. Like, he's never been connected in this way. But my broad point here is that this idea that Mandelson is essentially creating as rote, this press unified front believe would be the case, is that Labour would be doing terribly if they had somebody more left-wing than Keir Starmer in charge. If somebody was coming up into the public and saying, in the wake of Liz Truss, in the wake of Rishi Sunak, in the wake of Boris Johnson, actually we do want investment, we do want nationalisation, we do want a fairer economy. I don't think that their assumption that Conservatives would still be winning in a post-Liz Truss world, Labour would still be winning if they had a proper progressive leader.
Possibly, but it's the religious orthodoxy of the new Labour movement that you can't win as a left-winger at all. It can't happen. You have to go more and more right-wing in order to be electable as a Labour leader. That's it. It's the Tony Blair religion, of which Mandelson was the high priest, of course.
Yes, quite.
Had him, Starmer, inside the Corbyn tent, has enabled him to actually pull that party together enough, coherent force, even whilst he sort of expels the Corbynista faction as much as he can.
It's difficult, right? So
one
of the ways in which he...
I thought he wasn't doing factionalism, though. Why would he be expelling Corbynistas?
I mean, he only promised to unite the party, and you can have a united party if you get rid of everybody who disagrees with you. The Communist Party of the Soviet Union was incredibly united under Stalin, because everybody who didn't agree with him
attained the position he had in the leadership election, which was the kind of middle person in the party that the Corbynistas could vote for, is precisely because he held this position. Of course, if you jump merely to the fact that this then helped him win the leadership, and helping him win the leadership was a good thing, then that's obviously a correct decision.
Saved the Labour Party.
Yes, but it also nearly drowned the Labour Party because he supported Corbyn in office. In other words, he helped Corbyn's leadership, and at a general election told people to vote for Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh no, a Labour MP and a member of the shadow cabinet told them to vote for the party they represent. That's crazy talk.
The only frame of reference that anybody in this panel has is if it's left-wing, it's bad. It was good that Keir Starmer pretended to be left-wing, but it was bad if he was actually left-wing by putting Jeremy Corbyn into office. That's all that matters. Left-wing equals bad. That's the only metric they have for discussing this.
I'm being quite genuine when I say the reason why this is important is because obviously this goes for every...
It isn't important. You people are sniffing your own farts.
I mean, it is important that they feel like that they can say this, that there's no omerta on this anymore. Or we all agree in our little liberal bubbles that excising anybody to the left of Gerhard Schroeder from political discourse is universally a good thing. I'm glad we all agree with this and there's no dissenting voices to challenge us on this, right? Because they all agree. This three-pronged podcast of all the different parts of the political spectrum, they all just agree. They all agree on everything. They're the same people. They have universal ideologies.
This is what they mean when they say, listening to people of different political persuasions. This is the free marketplace of ideas, where all of the products are exactly the same, but it's technically a market, so it's a marketplace of ideas.
Everybody who has to consider the question of whether or not to stay in something, to be in the leadership team of something which they don't fully believe in, right? That is a question for absolutely everybody in politics that he is exemplified. And so therefore, if we're saying it was acceptable, we are saying that it's acceptable to be involved in this kind of effectively sort of deception.
Danny, I think it was a very pragmatic...
It was a deception. I think it was a very pragmatic judgment, because that means the same to these people. Because the target is the left, and the left are legitimate.
Yeah, so literally, I mean, fair play to Danny Finkelstein for at least having the honesty or the kind of intellectual curiosity to be like, are we saying, therefore, that deception is fine? And he's just like, no, that's very pragmatic. Yeah, actually, no, it's good. Yeah.
It was just,
I'm glad he lied.
People.
I'm glad he lied to people. Yeah.
Well, that's basically what they're saying. I'm glad he lied.
The person that I'm saying lied to his own political party, I'm saying it would be good if he became prime minister, because liars being prime ministers, that's a good thing.
That's why I really want to go on Question Time and call the lies out to the face, and then find the camera that they're using to film me, and then look straight into it and say, look, if this guy can lie to his own party, what makes you think he won't lie to you? What makes you think he won't lie to the country? We already have plenty of precedent for Labour Prime Ministers lying to the country about really important things. So maybe you should be a little bit more fastidious in who you choose as your Prime Minister.
I don't think you needed to be very personal and call out Wilson like that.
Pragmatic judgment.
But I suppose there's a question about how bad would Jeremy Corbyn have had to have been for Keir Starmer to say enough is enough?
Because he is bad, right? We all accept Corbyn is bad. He's terrible. There can be no positive words said about the Jam Man, of course. We all accept in our little liberal bubble here, he's just bad. The question is how bad, right? That is our level of intellectual diversity here, and that we all hate Jeremy Corbyn in differing amounts.
Exactly. Do you hate him enough that you want him to be smeared in honey and thrown to the bees, or do you think he's literally Satan?
At that time was the same as it is now. I have a different view of it. I think that Keir Starmer is somebody who's not been all his life super concentrated on where he is factionally, where he is.
That's Politico speak for he doesn't actually stand for anything. He has no beliefs, no original thoughts in his head.
He's an empty vessel.
Yeah.
Again, go back to the Matt Zarb cousin tweet. He's just sitting there in the Postman Pat machine, turning the wheel, but somebody else is doing all the work.
Is in terms of the Labour Party and had to do that as leader and has shifted his position.
Don't really agree with that. I think that Keir Starmer has had to think about a lot of policy issues which didn't previously confront him.
Yeah.
He only came into politics, into frontline politics in 2015.
Okay, well, if he's new to all of this stuff, maybe let's not make him prime minister then. Maybe
would you like to make a political dunce prime minister chat? Let's go.
Yeah, so he's dishonest, politically illiterate because of inexperience. Let's make him prime minister.
Actually, a perfect candidate for prime minister. But have you considered he's very prime ministerial, very serious, very professional?
You know what I've noticed about these four people in this room? They're the adults in the room.
This exactly, chat. This is what the adults in the room looks like. Everybody admitting that lying is fine, deception is fine, and political illiteracy is also fine, as long as you have the right vibes and you take money from the right people.
Yeah. There you go, people. Thankfully, we can all rest assured that our political future is safe in the hands of these utter wankers.
For me, I mean, he's got no ideological hang-up.
That means he doesn't believe anything. Literally, he's got no thoughts in his head. Empty. There's nothing in there.
It's just so mask off. It's just so blatant, right?
Well, literally, that one line where he says, "Is it okay to be able to?" It's a pragmatic judgment. Like, it's the perfect distillation of what an evil little bastard he is.
In business, he's a sort of partnership guy.
These mean nothing. These words mean nothing.
That was, he's a partnership guy. What does that mean? What, he's married? Yeah, we know. What are you
the
talking
partnership
about?
between him and lobbyists. That's the partnership that he's big on.
Flourishing businesses in order to create jobs and grow the economy, and he'd never think of any sort of economy in which he didn't sort of team up with business in order to.
Yeah, so more neoliberalism. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Moral case for socialism fully, which involves partnering with business to create jobs. The meaningless phrases, but happy to essentially take his marching orders from people who are literally directly opposed to the labour movement. Great, fantastic, big fan.
To advance the country's economic interest. And on national security and defence, where, he has broken with Corbyn in the most sort of dramatic.
Corbyn wouldn't even say he wanted to eviscerate countries with nuclear explosions.
Way Corbyn, who wasn't even pro-West, wasn't pro-NATO.
Those are the same things. But even
imagine
then,
that, not being pro-NATO. Imagine having a politician with a different thought than everyone else.
Yeah, and also pro-West is explicitly anti-East, right? The internationalist one is that you don't have any pro-bloc politics position. You are pro-internationalism and pro-humanity, rather than being pro-imperialism, which is what being pro-West is. Those two are one and the same. Like, oh God, it's infuriating, because again, they say, we have loads of intellectual diversity in our little podcast panel. They all agree that being pro-West is good. They all agree that being pro-NATO is good. And internationalism is completely anathema to their politics, right? And this is why they can all sit around the table and go, oh, it's good that we deceived Corbyn bad, right? We hate him to different levels, but we all agree that everything that he believes in is wrong.
Well, it's not the free marketplace of ideas. It's the free marketplace of an idea.
Yes, literally the free marketplace of neoliberalism.
The free marketplace of idea. That's what it is. It's the same. All these people just agreeing with each other, except Daniel Finkelstein comes out slightly better, because at least he was like, he had some misgivings about lying to people, which just show you maybe there's a kernel of decency inside him somewhere deep down, maybe. But the other two were like, no, actually, it was a good idea that he should have lied to them. Yeah, fuck them.
Honestly, that's the most revealing clip I think I've ever seen. It when I first saw it on Twitter, it absolutely blew my mind that they were just so open. But they've excised the left from politics, and they can gloat about it, and people will do nothing because we are politically irrelevant, and we are the only sector of the public that's allowed to be cut off from politics. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.